Hello everyone. This video will go over the AP Stylebook guidelines on abbreviations, acronyms, and titles. Abbreviations and acronyms are used very often within media copy, but we want to avoid using too many of them. If the reader can't tell what the acronym or abbreviation is, then we don't want to use it because remember, media writing is all about clarity. You don't want to use abbreviations and acronyms and headlines as much as possible, unless you're talking about a very well-known acronym, such as the CDC or something like that. An acronym is a shortened version of a full name, such as the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, or the University of Alabama. An abbreviation is a shortened version of a word. Doctor becomes DR period. So that would be an abbreviation. The use of periods with abbreviations and acronyms is important, and a good guideline to remember is that an acronym with 2 letters will get a period between each letter, such as US or UN. Now there are exceptions to this rule, and ironically, AP Stylebook breaks their own rule about this by not putting periods between Associated and Press for AP. The University of Alabama and other colleges also do not tend to use the period between the letters, but you need to go with the organizational guidelines on that. But a general rule is when there are more than 2 letters in an acronym, you're going to write it in all caps with no periods, such as FBI, NBC, or CIA. Here are some things that you commonly abbreviate in media writing. The first is a company name. You're going to want to abbreviate company, corporation, incorporated, and limited. You're also going to want to abbreviate any dates when they are attached to numerals, when they are attached to numbers. So the months that become abbreviated are January, February, August, September, October, November, and December. Any month that is 5 letters or shorter is not going to be abbreviated, so you will always spell those out. Now, the abbreviation only happens when the month is combined with the number. So for example, the first day of fall is in September, we would want to spell out September, while the first day of fall is September 22nd, we would abbreviate September there because it's accompanied by a numeral. The same thing happens with time of day. It's 7:05 a.m. Because we're using numerals, we would abbreviate AM for morning. On the other hand, if you're talking about the morning generally and not talking about a time, it's early in the morning, you would not write it's early in the AM. Numbers and addresses also allow for abbreviation, so you can abbreviate street, avenue, boulevard. Here's an example. The White House's address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. In this case, we're going to abbreviate avenue because it is accompanied by the numbers 1600. The White House is on Pennsylvania Avenue, however, does not have any numerals in it, and so therefore we're going to spell out avenue. States are also commonly abbreviated in writing. However, in media writing, we tend to spell it out when it's used within the body of a story, whether that state is standalone or in conjunction with a city. We are not going to use the state name at all, though, if it's the same state that appears in the deadline, or excuse me, the date line. For instance, if my date line or my byline says that I am writing from Birmingham, Alabama, then I should not reference Alabama within the actual copy unless it's part of a proper name like the Alabama Bureau of Investigation or something like that. You use the state if it's not in the date line, if it's a national piece, or if the state name is needed for clarity. So if I'm writing from Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm talking about Atlanta, Georgia, then I'm going to include Georgia within my copy because Georgia is not the date line. There are 8 states that are never abbreviated, which are listed here. The rule is that if there are 5 letters or fewer, in the state name, then you are not going to abbreviate it. And also non-contiguous states like Alaska and Hawaii would not be abbreviated either. When you're using abbreviations for states, you do so for three primary reasons. The first is with date lines. That's going to be the very first thing that you write in your copy, which tells the reader where you are writing from. And you're going to use the AP abbreviation to do that. When you're listing out states, you can do that through abbreviations. And when you are addressing a political figure's party affiliation, you would also want to use their state. However, AP abbreviations are different from postal abbreviations. You're used to writing out a letter or an address with the postal abbreviations, which are 2 letters for the state. You will only do that if you're writing a full address in your copy, including the zip code. Otherwise, you're going to need to use the AP style state abbreviations, which you can see in this map are different for most states. And for Alabama specifically, it's going to be capital A and then lowercase l, lowercase a, and period. Titles are also commonly abbreviated, such as doctor, governor, lieutenant governor, Mr., Mrs., Miss, representative, senator, or reverend. Military designations also receive abbreviations. However, military designations are very specific. So as you write stories about military personnel, be sure to refer to the AP Stylebook's military section. I will not ask you specifically outside of titles listed here. So you don't have to worry about knowing those for class, but do know that there is a special section of AP Stylebook devoted to military titles. When using titles, you're going to want to capitalize formal titles. When you're using the formal title directly before an individual's name, you will capitalize it, such as President Donald Trump. Here, President is a formal title, and therefore President should be capitalized. However, when the title is used without an individual's name, it is no longer a title, it's actually a position. So the president said it's wrong. So president here would be lowercase because it is about a position rather than someone's official title. Lowercase, the title, use lowercase for the title when it's offset from the name by commas. So when the name becomes a non-essential clause, the title is actually a position and so therefore defaults to lowercase. The president, comma, Donald Trump, comma, said it's wrong. Here, Donald Trump is being used as a non-essential phrase and therefore president should be lowercase. It should be noted that as a term of respect, we always call the current president, president, and then their name in order to address them formally. Formal titles denote authority or a position that has high power. Other titles, such as movie star, are really more like occupations or positions, and so therefore they should be lowercase. So when a title denotes extreme authority, like CEO or president, something along those lines, you capitalize it as a formal title. In stories with US date lines, you don't need to add US before titles for government officials unless it's needed for clarity. For example, if you're writing a story on our Senate or something that the legislature is doing, you would not say US Senator, you would say Senator because you are writing from the US. However, if you're talking about a story involving international diplomacy where you have many different presidents of different countries represented, then you would need to use US to provide clarity to your reader. Don't capitalize qualifying words such as former president, designate CEO, or acting CEO. These are actually lowercase because they are qualifying what the title is rather than being part of the title itself. So now that you understand a little bit more about the AP style for abbreviations, acronyms, and titles, You will need to do the AP homework by Friday, September 11th at midnight, and make sure you read Chapter 6 to prepare for Friday's lessons.